So, as we continue to get ready for our big long 12-week adventure in our camper, one of the other things I needed to get ready is my internet connectivity. Now, our camper came with a WiFiRanger. I've only had a chance to really try it once at a campground, and the campground's internet was so bad that it really didn't help. And the other bad part is that particular campground was isolated from cell phone signal, so even having the LTE in the WiFiRanger would not have done me any good. I went ahead and ordered me the hardware to get me connected to the Verizon LTE for my WiFiRanger Sky4. So that came in today. We're gonna get that all set up, and we're gonna get my security cameras all set up, and that will complete my next step of increasing my security for my camper before we go on this long trip, as long as we're staying in an area that we can get internet access. The box is kind of a pain to get open. Let's see what we got here. We got our, should be pretty straightforward. Welcome to WiFiRanger, yada yada yada, meet the team. So basically we got 3 sheets of instructions: SIM card swap guide, I'll read that a little later, installation guide, and activation guide. So that's what we got there for documentation. And wow, it's tiny. Alright, let's see what we got. So, looks like it's multiple pieces parts. Maybe not. Okay, so that's the, wait a minute. I thought it used the antenna that was, so this is the antenna? Oh. Well, that's interesting, folks. This is the antenna right here. So the antennas, I was wondering how that worked. The antennas that you see on top of your camper are not actually used for the cell phone. Only this. So I'm not sure that that's going to give me much better range than I already get with my iPad. The only advantage it would be is that it's all part of one unit, but that'll be interesting to see. The SIM is already installed. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this puppy installed. So here we are at the WiFiRanger on the top of my Geo Pro, and basically we just take these screws out here. Now, once you get them all out, you want to be sure not to pull too hard on this because you don't have a lot of area to work with here. So now we're going to go ahead and put the unit in place. So as you can see, it can only really fit one way, and that's this way right here. If you turn this around like this, you don't have clearance to make it fit. So you can't really screw it up. So we want to just get this lined up with the pins and push it in place. So there you go. We're all lined up good. Now that it's in place, we just need to get the antenna fastened in. So we take the antenna and we basically are going to set it right here, like that. And you see that it's got the 3M sticky stuff here. So you take that off and the sticky stuff is just going to fasten it right there on that corner and right there on that corner. And that's basically how it fastens. So now we'll just pull this 3M tape off. Now with the tape off, we just slide it down. It can stick pretty easily, so be aware of that. It's really good. We just put this down to where it meets, and we push against it here, push against it there, and that's it. Now the antenna is in place. So that literally is how the antenna is mounted. These are the antennas just for your Wi-Fi, not for this. Once that is done, just make sure this wire is out of the way. Push this out of the way. Put the lid back on. Also, before you tighten all these down tight, you want to get them all lightly tightened up into place. And also keep in mind it is just plastic, so you don't want to get too carried away. You want to get it tight enough that it will hold the seal, but you also don't want to risk breaking plastic. So we'll get all these screws into place here. All right, now give it a good little snug tighten. Again, don't want to get too carried away. It's just plastic. Now that I have the LTE installed, let's go ahead and go out and configure the indoor camera that I have, which is a D-Link. It allows me to rotate and look anywhere in the camper. It also sends you notifications if there's movements and stuff like that. However, I'm not sure how much I will use that because there will be dogs in the camper. But the idea is this particular camera allows me to watch the dogs while we are away. I decided I'm going to put this right here. The reason why is because right here is there's a board right back here. I should be able to run the screws right through. And I'm going to just use sheetrock screws. The screws they gave with this are really, really wimpy. So I'm going to just put this in place. Yeah, there we go. That got a really nice solid hook to it. I like this location because I can just take the cord, run it behind the TV. So there we go. Now, you probably want to take this off when you're running because it's got a little bit of weight on it. And while you're going down the road, this will be bouncing around. And so you can just literally take this screw off and stow this when you're pulling the trailer. That way you don't have all this extra weight on this bracket. But then when you get set up, you can run the cord right there behind the TV. I probably will get a little thing to hold the cord right here and keep it up out of the way. Maybe something nice like right there. And then, but yeah, once you get that cord buttoned up out of the way, there you go. And that is in a spot where it can literally see the entire contents of this trailer. So that's our dog monitor. And there we go. All right, so I got my camera up. I've got it connected. I went ahead and connected my Alexa as well. And it's all connected to my camper Wi-Fi. I've also got it linked to my Furion, as you can hear now. Alexa, play top 40s.
Playing the top 40 songs on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop. I think it was playing the top songs from the 40s. It's not what I asked for. Anyway, that's all linked. I can also disconnect the Alexa from my Bluetooth. Alexa, disconnect Bluetooth. And now my Alexa is back here, its own little speaker. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 12:50 a.m.
So I've got all that configured. I've got my camera configured. I got my phone, all my apps installed so I can connect to all these devices. Now, of course, that's not going to do anything unless I have internet, but at least I've got all that kind of cool stuff available for when I do have internet. We're going to see how well that does on our big, long trip. And tomorrow, I'm going to set up my outdoor security system. And I only ordered one for right now because I kind of want to see how it does. It's the Argus 2 by Reolink, I believe is the name. I got it for about 80 bucks after shipping. The thing I liked about it is you can put the mount up and the camera comes off very easily to put in your camper because it's only attached by a magnet. So you can put the camera up when you're needing it, and then when you're on the road, you can take it off and put it in your camper. And while it's in your camper, it can be charging it. I'm right now just kind of using this whole thing as my entertainment center, and so I'll just store it right here, and I will just have a USB thing, and so that I can just charge it while I'm hauling my camper down the road. Supposedly it has like a 2-month battery time, which is more than enough, because I might stay in one place a week. So I can take it, use it for the week, put it in the camper, and while we're hauling to our next destination, it's getting all charged up. So that should work out really, really well. Depending on where I put it, I want to just make sure I can see the tongue area, if anybody is in the tongue area trying to screw around with the tongue, and over this way. And as long as it gets that, I think that's fine for what I need to do, because if anybody's that close to the trailer, I've already got them on camera. If they're going to haul the trailer, I've already got them on the camera. And if they come into the trailer, I'll already have them on this camera in here. So I don't know that it's necessary to spend the extra money on 2 outdoor cameras. So we'll see how that goes, but that should take care of all my surveillance and my redundancy with the Wi-Fi. Now to finish the last phase of the security. this is why I really decided to go with this camera. Ooh, that is one, that's pretty heavy. That's a stout magnet. If you've forgotten and left this on the camper, it might actually still stay there. But that's why I got this, because I wanted something that I would be able to, wow. Now, a lot of people reported that once you get this position, you can't move it a lot of places, and that is partly true, because you'll notice, like, if you mounted it flat, you can see that you can't go up any higher than this. So that does have a small impact on how you're going to mount it. Because, like, if it's on a wall like this, that's literally the angle in which it's going to be aiming down. So I'll check that out in a little bit. What I'm first going to do is get it all configured so that I can see what it's actually seeing, and then I will have, before I mount this to the trailer, I will see what it looks like and go from there. Is that in?
Camera has been started up. Please run Reolink app, add the camera, and set it up.
So on the back of the battery is a little waterproof. That's interesting. So it's got this little waterproof.
Please run Reolink app.
Yeah,
add the camera
will.
And set it up.
And then on this side, it's got this little waterproof thing where you can put your card. So while this is weatherproof, it does rely on these little cheap rubber things that I can't imagine staying very good out in the sunlight very long. Not sure how I feel about that. And it doesn't go back together very well either. That's the extent of its waterproofing. So you really want to have this on it as well. If you're going to put it outside, this is not just for keeping it from the sun. This is also part of what's going to keep it. You shut up. Yeah, so it does seem to go in fairly easy. Somebody said that this tore when they put it on. If they tore this putting on, then they were just an idiot. It went on really easy. I don't see that being an issue. Yeah, I think that's fine. Now let's see how it comes off. You could possibly tear it coming off. No, it goes off and on just fine. The thing is it really does depend on these things to keep it waterproof. I'm not hip on that, but we'll see how it does. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing connected to power so it can be charging in case it wasn't fully charged already. It comes with a USB charging cable, plenty along there. So that means you have to take the little thing off the back. Yeah, that's not going to last very long at all. I don't get it unless it's really waterproof with this, but I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about that at all. Alright, so now this is all set. I'm going to go ahead and get it connected to a charger. Alright, so I got the Reolink magnet mount attached to the camper. I just used 3M indoor outdoor external tape. I didn't drill any holes. It's ready to handle 15 pounds. This camera doesn't weigh anything close to 15 pounds. And of course I'll take the camera off when we're driving. I am going to put a bead of caulk around it after it sits for a little bit, once I make sure it's adhered really well. That way at least water won't get in around the adhesive, and that should make it stay even a little better. There's the mount right there. Just have it centered right at the top, and it was flat enough that it was on a curve, but it was able to adhere pretty well all the way around. Now I'll just climb up on the tongue and put the camera on, and we are set. All right, there it is. Of course, anybody could climb up and knock it off, but if somebody did climb up and knock it off, if they came from this side, I would see them. If they came from the latter side, if I have the camera knocked off, then I know something's wrong anyway, and I need to come back and check it out. But yeah, I probably will get another one to face the other direction as well, so if they tried to climb up the ladder, then I'd get them. We'll see. And there it is from that side. Well, I thought I was pretty much done with all the monitoring stuff. I was going to put just a little thermometer up on the wall and turn the camera to it. I kept looking and I stumbled on this. There's no need to spend hundreds of dollars for these thermometer things that will text you if the temperature hits an alert. Supposedly this will do it. It's a 5-in-1, so it does more than just the thermometer. It's got motion, temperature, sunlight, sound, and humidity. So you can basically set alerts on all those things. And I got it for 29 bucks on Amazon. So that's what I'm going to configure and set up for letting us know if the temperature is an issue. So I'm going to get that all set up and we'll see what it does. When you go into the app and you scroll down here, you can see what units for temperature, and then you can do these thresholds for light. Do you want to, you know, when it goes daylight, do you want to send a notice? Or the sound threshold, do you want it to be loud, medium, or high when it sends a notice? And then it has the settings of how often, you know, it sends a notice, basically 120 minutes. If there's no activity for 120 minutes and then there's activity again, then it'll send a notice. You have to have no activity for 120 minutes to send you a notice. And so I saw all those. I never saw anything for temperature or humidity. So you have to go ahead and create the free cloud account to do that. Once you've created the free cloud account through this app, which I'm not going to go into, but once you have, then you can go to rules, and then you can add a rule. And once you've added a rule, that's where you will do your rules for your temperature. This thing here, the 5-in-1 smart monitor by iHome, it will definitely, without any other hardware, send you temperature changes in your camper so that you would know if your pets are, you know, if your AC went out and your pets are not comfortable. So you would just say, you know, put your name in, you'd say which sensor you would get. Let me go ahead and just put test. And basically you would say select a sensor device, that's my sensor, and add a trigger. And you could say a temperature trigger, you could say when it exceeds 80, or when it exceeds, you know, or when it drops below 40, or whatever you want it to do. That's where you would set it so it will send notices on temperature changes. That's a great way to use a $29 device to watch and monitor the temperature in your camper to make sure your doggies are comfortable. So let's go take a peek at it. All right. There I have it. I just set it right there. So this area here in the Geo Pro really does work good for like a little entertainment center. You can put all kinds of stuff in there. So that is kind of handy. But anyway, it's kind of bulky and there is no way to hang it. Now all my monitoring gear is installed for my Geo Pro. I got my temperature sensor that reports, I've got my internal adjustable camera that reports, and I got my outdoor surveillance camera monitoring the front of the trailer.